Killers of the Flower Moon has just released, and Martin Scorsese has created yet again another masterpiece with this one. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio as the character Ernest, and he's not really the most earnest guy. He is very much of a pushover. He seems like a very lost soul, and so a lot of people do take advantage of his character throughout the movie. And for me, that was just absolutely hard to look at. Seeing this character experience his life and his interactions between him and his very evil and manipulative uncle. This honestly kind of reminds me a lot of the TV show Barry, almost like the exact same premise. And this whole movie is based on a true story and inspired by the novel as well. So this movie does have a lot of lore behind it, a lot of character building, a lot of world building. This movie has just a lot going on, which is why the runtime of this movie is 3.5 hours long. This movie feels weighted at times, but it's not necessarily bad. Sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't. But this movie, what works with it is that it just keeps you enthralled throughout the entirety of it. So that 3.5 hours, you don't really feel bored. You feel very connected to each and every one of the characters. There are some moments in this film that do take you out of it because you want to ask some questions to figure out where these characters are at, their headspace, why they're doing what they're doing, and just a few things here and there do seem a little bit muddied, but that's not to say that it does detract from the entirety of this film. In fact, a lot of the flaws of this movie, it actually does enhance the overall movie. It makes it feel a little bit more personable. It makes you feel a little bit more connected to the story, the characters, everything here. The plot, it is very primitive in nature. It's super easy to follow. You're essentially following the Killers of the Flower Moon. It is in the title. You are following this group of white men, and they're in this town of Fairfax, and they're essentially invading the town full of Indian folk, and they are marrying the women, having kids with them, all in an effort to claim a bunch of money that they earned after they struck some oil. They want a piece of that. They want that money, even though they themselves are already rich. And by the time you leave the theater, you feel that weight hit, and you stand up and you feel it come off of your shoulders, because this movie, it is definitely an epic. It is a story to just get enthralled by. It's a really fascinating character study. There is a lot going on with this movie, almost to say that there's too much going on, but you never feel that it's too much. It balances it out perfectly. And I love the fact that Martin Scorsese was able to do this, and the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio was able to keep me invested for as long as I did, which it's not really a big issue with him as an actor. He does a fantastic job in all of his films. The actors in this movie, they all just kind of keep you engaged with the story. They make you want to ask more questions. And this movie replies with, here's a little spoonful of information, more will come soon. Hang tight, follow the characters, get to know them, enjoy their emotions, and feel the connection between each and every one of them. That is what this movie is to its core. It's a character study, it's a drama, it's an epic, and so much more that I can't sit down and go over with you guys in a short little YouTube video. This movie needs a deep dive analysis, and I do want to go back and watch this movie again. So if that tells you anything, yes, Killers of the Flower Moon was a very, very great time with the movies, and I highly recommend a lot of people go check this out. Now, this is an Apple original, so this may be on Apple TV at some point in the near future, but I also know a lot of people out there aren't subscribed to Apple TV, so go ahead and check this one out in the cinema if you can. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. It is a great film to behold, especially on the big screen. Going back to the characters real quick, every single one of them, again, it just kind of drags you into the movie, and it really made me super, super engaged with the overall film, and I loved everyone's performance in here. I loved seeing Brendan Fraser in here, or Fraser. I said it incorrectly in my review for The Whale, and I felt terrible about that. And I absolutely adore this man as an actor, and I do want to see more of him in a lot of these movies. I love the stage presence that he has in this movie, despite him only being in the film for a very, very short amount of time. There's a lot of A-list actors in this movie that you don't necessarily see until the back half of this movie. A majority of this is just following Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest, and his wife, Molly. For me personally, the character of Molly definitely stole the show for me. I loved seeing her character interact with everybody, her family, the town, her new husband, and that of Ernest, and even her children. All of the interactions here are very, very unique and dynamic, and they really do shape her character towards the end of the film. And by the time that we learn about what happens to her by the end of everything, it just all kind of connects. You love where her story goes, but again, you just can't help but feel sorry for her throughout the entirety of this movie, because she is the character who is just constantly losing. It is an uphill battle for Molly, not not only fighting her pain, her disease that she struggles with on a daily basis, but also her manipulative husband, who is also being manipulated by his uncle and dealing with that, as well as her own family struggles, not really being cared for by her mother, despite her being one of the sole caretakers of her mom, and really just giving her life to her mother. And seeing that tragedy unfold as well, a lot to do with Molly, just kind of resonated with me throughout the movie. Almost every character here, I felt some kind of sympathy towards, even the villains. And it really goes to show you just how manipulative these characters were. Although the most sympathetic character here is Molly, Ernest is a very close second just because of how relatable he is and the take on just a lost character. I loved that. I found that so fascinating, seeing Ernest's development throughout the film, becoming almost his own person and tackling his own issues with self-identity. But in terms of filmmaking, the behind-the-scenes stuff, I especially loved the camera work of this film. I loved the color grading. Just everything felt so very cinematic. It felt very easy on the eyes. Each and every single one of these shots by the cinematographer, you knew what was happening. You could see exactly what they were trying to persuade with you on the camera, and you never felt lost within the movie. You saw something unfold and you knew that happened. You never went back and said, wait a minute, did that actually just happen? You do have that gut feeling of saying, did that just happen? But you never really question if it actually did happen. Being a Martin Scorsese film and the actors and the cinematography, it all just really combines to tell this overall grand, unique story. I want to go back and read the book. I want to go take some history lessons about all this. And I do want to rewatch the movie at some point in the near future because there's, again, just so much to explore here, and I loved every second of this movie. Killers of the Flower Moon deserves an Airing Austin stamp of approval. Guys, what did you think about this movie? Have you seen it? Is the runtime keeping you out of the cinema for this one, or are you waiting to see this on streaming? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like down below. It does help out the channel. We are not sponsored, and likes, comments, subscriptions, it all goes a long way. My name's Austin, and I will see you all next week for the upcoming movie review. Take care.